Hey everybody, how is it going today? It's February 6th today, and we're going to do a recap of the week with the 5-minute engulfing and Marubozu candles. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But yeah, here's the overall picture of what I was looking at. It's a daily chart here on ES. So I guess if you guys have any questions or anything or comments, just let me know in the chat. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes for the screen to get transferred on YouTube, so if it's still black for you, I apologize. I'll wait a little bit before I get started on finding these bearish and bullish engulfing candles. And also the Marubozu candles. These are just the daily view. Like I said, we've just been trapped in this channel for months. We had a really nice bullish engulfing candle here today, though, on the daily. Beautiful. Which tends to be, well, more upside. And that's how I look at it with the 5-minute bullish engulfing candles and bearish. We'll go down to a 5-minute view. And I tracked the stats for January, and it was 77%. I made daily videos last month of the 5-minute entry model. I called it the Keep It Simple Stupid, just because then I could just enter on my phone and go that way. This is the volume profile for the week, so I don't need this anymore. Let's see, the first day of the week is here. So we'll start there. Also, I only been tracking the regular trading hours, so we're going to change the session to regular trading hours, RTH, so that we don't have to deal with all the other candle noise from overnight and Globex and such. Is anybody else thirsty? It's a Friday. Man, it was a long week. I had 2 of my accounts breached by Top Step because of hedging, apparently, and I don't believe I did any hedging, but they're saying that they'll be looking at everybody's accounts on a one-by-one basis and then determining whether you'll be able to keep your accounts or not. Well, if we do it on the RTH, we're not going to be able to see the first candle, which is sometimes the best entry point. So we're not going to be able to tell whether the previous 5-minute candle here on these are going to be the entry, which here might possibly could have been. It happens a lot like that on the first 5-minute candle, where if you don't get in on that first candle, you might be waiting for a while. Here you had another entry. It looks like so you had a nice bearish engulfing Marubozu candle here. But we'll go back to that. I'm just seeing here on the first opening candle, I'm just looking at these openings to see if I'm going to need to switch over to the other chart. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll track it without it first, and then we'll go back, and then we'll see if that first candle would have made a difference in any of the entries. So what I'm showing here on the moving averages are the blue line is the 200-day moving average, and then the white line is the 50-day moving average, and this yellow line is the VWAP. And since I'm starting it on RTH, it's going to give us the daily VWAP rather than the overnight VWAP, which this is normally on. So starting off here, looking at these different candles, this is a beautiful candle to enter long on, bouncing off of VWAP. Also, it engulfed this previous 5-minute candle. So we'll call this the first entry. And then we're going to want to set a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So you'd enter right on the close of that candle. Your stop loss would, wow, it's a big stop loss, but hit a large range this week. So yeah, stop loss would be 15 points, and you're risking 15 to make 15. So obviously here you got, you know, depending on how long you held on, you could have got over 30 points if you would have held on this far. So there was our first entry. Was there any bearish engulfing bars before we would have got to this TP? No, but there is a nice engulfing candle. We could have entered here if you would have missed this long earlier in the morning at 9 a.m. There was this nice, beautiful long here at 10:05. This is all Central Standard Time. So here you had a nice entry here at 10:05. Where it engulfed the previous 5-minute candle. And here you'll see it looks that obviously it's going to be another win because you're risking a 1-to-1 again. And, you know, you can always take a 1-to-1 and then leave a runner. That's what I like to do if I'm in a eval, especially. So here you would have hit a 1-to-1 easily. That would have been down here. Would have been 1-to-1, and you would have had a runner on. And then here you would have had another entry if you didn't catch this one. You wouldn't have even got stopped out on this one either, which would have been nice. So you would have put your stop loss to break even, wouldn't have stopped you out, hopefully. And then the next one you would have been risking, looks like about 10 points. 10.5 points maybe. Looks like you could have cashed in about 20 points. Looks like, yeah, I could have got a 2-to-1 here. Maybe a little bit less. Where's our next entry? This could have been tempting for a top, though it never engulfed the previous candle. Depending how late it was in the day, and if you're still at your computer, here's a bullish engulfing candle that doesn't quite look like it would have been a win. But like I said, it's kind of late in the day. Definitely going to be close there. Take the entry right after that. You're trying to get that far, which, oh, he's only 4.5 points. You got it. I actually got the 1-to-1. I wasn't sure if this was going to get up there. Actually got the 1-to-1. All right. So you would have had a runner on. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Nothing's going on here. Possibly an entry on the short. Look, I don't like how this wick is and bouncing off, so I don't think I would have taken that. That's for sure. Here is a bullish engulfing. Oh, it never engulfed. So nope, that was not an entry. What time is this? Pretty squirrely here for a Monday. Is that 1:55 in the afternoon? Here was a bearish engulfing bar. This would have been a short if you're still in the afternoon. And you'd just be trying for a 1-to-1. Doesn't look like it wouldn't have paid a 1-to-1, but it wouldn't have lost either. We're not going into overtime. So you would have had your stop up here. You would have been trying to get 13. You didn't get 13, but you didn't have enough time in the day either. I probably wouldn't have taken this, actually, just how big the range was there. In the afternoon, kind of got a little squirrely for some unknown reason. So on the first day, looks like you would have went over and you would have got 1, 2, 3, and you know, call this 3.5 wins on the day. This wasn't quite a win because it never got to a 1-to-1. It wasn't a loss either. You ran out of time, so I guess it's just a 3-0 day. So when I make the recap video for later, I will tally that up. $2,222 was 3-0. Pretty good. Really good, actually. Beautiful. All right, and then on the next day, so if you want to watch these videos, I'm going to do like a 10-minute video after I'm done with this live stream, and I'll go over all these entries on that video recapping the week. That's on a different username. That's on my Mystic Rick username. I was trying to see which username I could get more views or subscribers on faster, whether it be one that I'm doing live streams on, which is this account, or the other account, which is Mystic Rick. And one's Mystic Rick Trading, and one is Sherlock Stocks. So yeah, you can see that in the description of my two different YouTube profiles. So moving along, next we'll go on to Tuesday now. Let's see, our first nice entry would have been this short, looks like. It was a bearish engulfing candle that was rejected VWAP, and it would have been key there, especially rejecting the 50-day moving average so nicely. So this you would have targeted a 1-to-1 at least, which is easily going to be a winner. And plus more. So you're trying to get, you're risking 11 points. So possibility of over 40 points before you got this nice reversal here. So yeah, you could have tagged out 42 points out of this one. And you better have caught this one too, otherwise you could have got into some trouble here, it looks like, here at the bottom. So let me just back this off just to let me show you this. So if you weren't watching quant data or wouldn't wait for this retracement up, you could have gotten into some trouble with this entry model by taking another bearish engulfing candle. And up what would have been a loser as it came up over this wick, only for it to reject that VWAP and the 200-day moving average. I laugh because it happens all the time with price bouncing back up and hitting VWAP. You'll see it in the following days. I'll show it again most likely. So yeah, let's assume that you didn't take this this candle here because you're still in this short. And let's go with you're going to take a long off of this candle, even though I see that it's going to be a loser. It still would have been something you would want to take, because you want to take them almost every time unless you've got good enough skills to have a little bit of a discretion in your trading to know whether it's a good time to take a long or not. Myself, I don't know if I would have, just because we're so close to these two key points of interest. But yeah, this would have been a loss. You would have been going long here, but we'll plot it out anyways. And you would have wanted to risk that. And it would have been a loss, like I said. I actually would have been risking a little bit farther, 18 and a half to get 18, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even get it, not even close. Could have trailed and got a few points out of it, you know, if you would have only been trying to target VWAP, it would have worked out. But with this 1-to-1 entry model and system I've been trying to work, this one would have been a loss, just to keep it similar and across the board. Let's look for the next entry. So if you didn't take this one, here's a nice key short, you know, off this Marubozu candle. There is hardly any top wick and no bottom wick. That's what you're looking for in that candle. And it works out quite a bit. As you see this one, it does. So that's why I kind of have this discretionary system where sometimes I'll take a bearish or bullish engulfing candle like we see here, or I'll wait for it to hit rewhopper and then wait for a bullish or bearish engulfing candle, this way or that way before I get a little bit more bias. But here, if you would have waited, you would have got a key bearish Marubozu candle, which would have taken you down for a nice winner. Not sure how nice yet, but you would have been risking this right here. You might have wanted to take this high just to be safe. 10.5 points, and this you could have brought down long ways. Could have brought this down 81 and a half, 82 points probably. 7 7/4. 7 3/4 make that. 81 points on that short. That was beauty. Watching quant data, some of the different data streams that you can get, it would have told you that they were targeting much lower today. So you could have taken this bearish Marubozu candle. If you missed that one, I see another setup here where it was chopping around, and you had this bearish engulfing candle. This was another short entry you could have taken. And this you would have been targeting, obviously a 1-to-1 plus more. So the short would have been the next candle. You're risking to the top of this candle, 16 and a 50. So even this you could have brought to, maybe you could have stretched out a 3-to-1, 1-to-3. Yep. After that, there was a nice comeback Marubozu candle here. Not much on both of these wicks on the 5-minute, which is key entry, plus it engulfed how many candles. Though you had to have patience on it. As we see, it had a nice little retracement, which looks to be about 50% of that candle. Let's check it out. Yep, right into the golden pocket of that candle, which would have been another long entry. Actually, I remember taking this long. I took it long here, plotted out this candle. I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for this golden zone, and I'm going to add one. That's exactly what I did. I added one back after it came right back up through the 50, which is this white line. I got the 0.62 and the 0.5 on the retracements here. So I added another, and I rode it back up, which is a beautiful long, probably one of my best of the week that I had. I've been doing really good in February. Aside from Top Step taking my accounts, I wasn't able to trade a couple of them today. I only got 2 of them left out of the 4 that I had. It sounds like I'll be getting them back, though, because I didn't do anything that I shouldn't have really been doing, hedging that they called it. And if I did, it was an accident, only for a couple micros for like less than a minute. So I don't know how that could considered. I don't know. That's even if I did it, I didn't get the trades that they sent in. I've been trying to get the trades that they are talking about, and I'm not able to get that data. So I'm not even sure I did hedge at all. But anyways, moving on. So like I said, this would have been a long, and it was a big stop loss you're risking. But yet, no one risks, no Rari, they say. So you would have been risking 23 points. But you easily got that, as we see. You came all the way up to, let's see, close the day is right here. And Top Step, depending on your prop firm, I guess. But yeah, you could have got 33 points, 2.5, or 1.5. 1.5 risk to reward. That was a nice one. Just making sure there's no other entries there. So a lot of days, and a lot of these days, it's only like 2 or 3 entries, 3 or 4 entries. As we've seen yesterday and today, there was 4 there. There's 4 here, possibly 5, depending on how discretionary you are. But yeah, moving along on to Wednesday. Also, some of these other indicators I didn't even mention, but we've got the DMI indicator, the MACD, and yeah, that's basically it. We got the volume profile here on the right, and then the regular volume on the bottom, obviously. If we backtrack, this is a volume profile for that week. We had one on this other week too, but I deleted it for now. We'll go back and do a weekly overview at the end of this live stream. Moving on to Wednesday, February 4th. What do we have for bearish and bullish, engulfing and candles, as well as Marubozu candles? Looking. It's too big a wicks on these to be Marubozu candles. Too much, in my opinion. It's got to be like barely anything, something like this, something like barely any wick on either side. Ideally, something like we had back over here, with no wick on the bottom, barely any wick on the top if there is a short. Sort of like this one, except for the wick is still a little bit high. How many points is that on this wick? Let me try to measure that out. Yeah, 2 points, that's too much for a wick. You need to have like a wick of like less than a point to be considered like a Marubozu candle. It's all discretionary, obviously. This one here, I would say, is probably a Marubozu candle just because that wick is hardly anything. After a big drop down, I don't know if you're going to be taking a Marubozu candle though. So obviously a little bit of discretionary trading here. This one here looks like a nice possibility for that Marubozu candle. How big is this wick? 1325 to 1425 a point on this candle I was measuring. Yeah, we've seen better. There's even a wick on the bottom once you enlarge it. So moving along, what do we've got next? Oh, there was this engulfing candle here, actually. It engulfed the previous 5 minute. Actually, this one, was that one too? Or is this just a double tap? See, the high on this is 30.25. High on this is 30.25. So yeah, it never engulfed it. Though it looks nice. Might have wanted to take this one actually. This one was definitely an engulfer, so we're going to circle that entry and we're going to map it out. So you could have had a nice 3.5 R on this one if you held it to the bottom. Obviously, nobody's able to do that, but if you were able to, then that was that. You wonder what these blue lines are. This is where the 2025 close was. One was the regular trading hours close, and the other line was the 4 p.m. close. That's Central Standard Time. So looking around, looking for some entries. Here's a nice bullish engulfer. Possibly. I probably would have wanted to almost take this one. I think I actually passed on it just because how choppy we were. but I was looking at it, and then I missed this entry here, which was basically this entry just a little bit higher, showing that there was strength in the market coming back. But doesn't fit the bill for this entry model. This one does, though, unfortunately. Unless you're already still in this short. But yeah, unless you were still in that short, you would be maybe retaking the short, depending on what data said. If it told you that we're done for the day, or if you should still be targeting shorts like on this previous day. And also on this next day on Thursday was also a day you could have targeted farther shorts. I believe data said initially off the go. We'll just say you're selling the short since we see that was a loss, and the next one. Let's see, this didn't engulf there. Man, this looks so nice here. I'm pretty sure this is an entry. Like it engulfed the previous close. Even though it didn't engulf the wick, it closed above where this last one opened. So that's an entry. So this wouldn't have even, you wouldn't have even been caught in this since you would have still been in this long. You would have like reversed your position at this point. You know, if data was telling you that, you know, the bottom was near enough for you to take this as a go. And I'm not just saying this off of that I can see what the candles are in the future already. You know, it's how I'm thinking during the day too, and whether I want to take it or not. Could have got 52 points out of this, possibly. I was trying to see if this one engulfed. This one is close, but it's underneath. It's above. Right? Open. 75. Close. 80.75. No, it's actually the same. So if you weren't selling this long, you probably would have got tagged out for break even, possibly, if you didn't take some profit here. Which you definitely should have been doing since it was over a 1-to-1. And you would have got trailed out on your runner. A nice bullish engulfing candle here, though. Took the entire candle and then engulfing it in that previous 5 minutes. So there's an entry long. So just going for a 1-to-1, you got that there. Could have brought this all the way up to almost a 3-to-1. Reward to risk. Besides that, looks like there was an entry in the close. But I don't know who trades the last 10 minutes of the day, though it would have been sort of a winner. And off the previous candle, you just had to bring it down. It never really lost. You would have tagged your entry if you would have put a break-even point here. But yeah, how'd this day do? 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, 3 wins. 3-0, possibly 4. Moving on to Thursday. Thirsty Thursday, which reminds me, it's Friday. I'm thirsty after all this talking. I'm going to grab me a beer. You guys help yourself. I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds. All right. So, anybody have any questions in chat? See, there's a couple people here. Moving on to Thursday, though. So here there would have been a nice bearish engulfing candle. It might have been tough to take, being right off of on the VWAP. But some of the best entries are tough to take. So you just got to take them when they present themselves. So there you would have had a short. 18-point stop loss. Is that right? Yeah. So you could have got over a 3R on it. Got really choppy down here. Okay. I'm looking for other entries along this now. I'm just scanning the candles. If you see here, we're in a negative GEX territory. So this could have helped you to jump into that short. Also, RSI was still going down. It was, bearish. Though it's a lagging indicator, and this is on RTH hours, so I'm not sure how well this transfers over, how smoothly it does. I'd almost call this a Marubozu candle since there's like no bottom wick, but there is a top wick, and actually that top wick is probably more than we think it is since it's such a big range day. Yeah, that wick right there is 2.25 points. So it's too big for the Marubozu candle entry. No, it was damn nice to take entry off of the top of this box down at the bottom that it made. I would draw the box something like this, and if you would have got a close outside of it, it would have been a nice time to enter, which it's a good thing I don't trade like that too often, because here you would have got stopped out instantly as it closed outside of this box I just drew. It looks so tempting too. I bet you so many traders got caught off guard trying to reshort this, and they got their faces ripped off. That's what when experience pays. You gotta know when to fold them. Know when to hold them. I might have butchered that song a little bit, but it's okay. It was a pretty choppy week, I'm really realizing. There's a lot of times where it looked good, but with these wicks and whatnot, it just, you weren't sure. So here you would have had a long off of this bullish engulfing candle. I can see from here, it's not hit a 1-to-1. So it would have been a loss. If you're looking for a 1-to-1. If you end up missing that long by possibility and you didn't just take it as a scalp, there was a short opportunity here with a nice bearish engulfing candle. You might have wanted to take this one. You might have wanted to switch your bias there as it stopped you out. If it did stop you out, been like, you know what, this looks bearish after seeing all these wicks on the top bigger than the wicks on the bottom, showing that there's strength in the sellers. And here you had a nice wick to stop people out, people who are running long, like this guy, people bouncing off VWAP thinking that they're going to go back to higher day, and they just brought her back down in that same 5-minute candle, which is why I like to wait for the close, because as you see, if they would have been on the minute chart, this would have been rising, and then all of a sudden in the 4th or 5th minute, they'll drop it down all this. And then unless you waited for that 5th minute, you wouldn't have seen that was a bad entry up here, you know. And then actually the best entry was right here, as we see. If you would have had the patience, that's what this game is all about, just having the patience, waiting for a better setup, waiting for a good setup, waiting for something that is, you know, plausible, you know, probable as far as probabilities go, and also, you know, the risk to reward is there, so there's still meat left on the bone, you know, so it makes the juice worth the squeeze, so to speak. So as you see here is a nice 2R, just entering on the candle after this bearish engulfing candle, and there was no reason for you to turn it around and go long until, you know, basically right around here you start to see, okay, it's starting to get some strength, I'm gonna cut it, you know. And at this point, take your day and move along. After that, you know, it's getting to 1:30 in the afternoon by right here, and not really seeing any other entries. Yeah, no more entries for today. There was a bearish engulfing candle here right at close. This is at 3 p.m. this candle, so you wouldn't have been taking this. Moving on, this is the 6th. This is Friday. So this is what happened today. Was there any entries for this entry model? Let's take a look. So far, I don't see anything all the way up to 9:15. Nothing yet. This was looking pretty good there at 9:15 though. As it came back over VWAP, it engulfed this. It closed over the previous open and close of the previous candle. I'd say this is a good entry. We've taken this in the past days where it just, as long as it engulfed the previous candle, you know, especially as it closed nice with a pretty good hammer. I don't like to take biases, but this looks like a long to me. And it's not because it looks like a winner or not, because I see that here you would have been flipping the script and going short. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a winner or not. We'll have to think about this. Think about whether we would take this, since it's not an engulfing candle. It didn't take out this wick. It's not a Marubozu candle, though there is other confluences to tell us reasons why we should and could take this still for long. And especially don't be thinking short, because there hasn't been really a whole lot of reason to go short, especially after this. A little bit of reason here, maybe a couple of them thinking you can come to a gap fill. But with NVIDIA being so strong this morning, if you've seen, it was up 5% and 6% and 7%. I think it ended up between 7 and 8% today. I'm not sure exactly how it closed. I know that the final 5 or 10 minutes we had a nice drop, so I'm not sure where NVIDIA closed. I wasn't keeping track of it. But anyways, so here we'll say that we took a long there. Took it right after that candle. You're going to want to try getting into the bottom of that wick. So you're trying to get 16 points. You got that. You got that. Okay. Next, there's a bearish engulfing candle here. So you'd want to take this short. Trying to get in right after. I think it would have been a win. I'm not sure. We're going to have to see. Close. Yeah, it was a winner. So you only had to get 10 points for it. And it came down for that. Actually, it came down a little bit farther than. Came down to 16 if you needed it to. But where is the entry? This little circle got in my way. So they'd be entering right here. All right, so we can see that this is a winner. Head over 1.5 R into the bottom. We'll look for another entry, and it just chugged along. I don't really see any bullish or bearish engulfing candles yet, and it's noon. Almost a Marubozu candle you might have wanted to take, but I don't know. With how slow this price action was, I would have wanted a bigger stop. In which case, yeah, that's what happened. 31. These are only 5-point candle here. So if you would have had a 10-point stop on it, you would have, could have cashed in on some of these long candles. And just continuing on, let me see. This one looks a little spicy. Couldn't get pushed down even farther and engulfed over. But not quite engulfing, so a little too slow price action too. Even up into here. This was over. Not much here on a Friday. A couple entries looks like 2-0. This one you could have milked out all day too. Did you milk this thing out all day? How many points could you have got on that thing? Or milked it out to the top until when was this? Yeah, this is when the algo kicked in at 2:50 in the afternoon. So you could have brought it all the way up to the top of that. Right before that hit was 73 points, 4.5 R. Just hold on to it, but it would have probably tagged you out here if you would have set your stop to break even. So yeah, anybody have any questions? Looks like it was a pretty good week. They went, how did this entry model go? And we'll count them up, add them up. So 1-2 winner. We'll write this so I may remember for later. Two wins or a loss. This one win. 2 win, 3 wins, 3 wins, 0 loss. This one, 1, 2, 3. 3 win. Man, this was a really good week for this entry model. 3 win, 0 loss. Let's see, 1 win. This one would have been a loss, depending on how you looked at that. I don't know. I don't know how to count this yet. I guess we gotta count it as a loss.